Welcome to the Accessibility Guide channel. My name is Sean Jordison, and today we're doing episode 7 of making college PDFs accessible. In episode 7, we're going to take a look at Reedley College. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is go to reedleycollege.edu, and we're just going to do the same technique. We're going to use the search feature, and let's see if we can find a PDF. All right, we have several different PDFs we can choose from. Let's check out this HSE enrollment form. What is that all about? Let's go ahead and download this file, and let's take a look at the accessibility of it. First thing I like to do is open up the tags panel, and would you look at that? We have a heading level 1. We have a section tag, a heading level 2, a P tag, a list element with properly formatted lists, and a almost properly formatted nested list. Almost properly formatted. There's a little bit of issues in there. But this is already one of the better documents that I've seen. H3 list, H4 list. Some of these P tags could be updated a little bit. They tend to go all the way across, so the reading order on that is going to be a little funky. But let's get into the form area. Oh yeah. So forms are always one of those things that confuse people, and this appears to be one of those instances. So when I select this P tag, it has all of these other P tags nested inside of it with the various form aspects inside of the content. The problem that I'm seeing here, it's going to be the reading order, and it looks like several of the form fields actually are not tagged appropriately. We have a heading, we have a table, with form fields, but it doesn't appear that the form fields are actually inside of the table data appropriately. So we definitely have some issues with this form. We then have some additional P tags with a bunch of nested P tags and some other content. But, you know, I can tell that whoever worked on this document gave it the old college try, and they did a decent job. There's just a few things that are kind of missing. And to be honest, I'm not surprised to see it because this happens pretty frequently when using form files. Also, everything is inside of a part tag. So normally I would start with using the auto tag feature, but I'm not going to do that today because there's actually a great amount of content already in here. Let's go ahead and open up the document properties, and let's just take a look at what's in here. We've got Adobe PDF Maker 22. We've got our author and our title. All right, this isn't too bad. Let's go ahead and jump right into making this accessible. I'm first going to adjust the top level tag by changing it from a part tag to a document tag. We have a heading 1, which is nice. I do not like having section tags, personally. This is a personal preference of mine, so I'm actually going to remove them by cutting and pasting the tags out of those section tags. Again, this is a personal preference of mine. I just feel like all of the extra section tags can make it difficult to sort of navigate the content when we need. I like to have a flat tags panel so that I can move quickly through it. And the section tags, the extra ones in here, tend to prevent me from doing that as we have, you know, nested content like you're seeing here. And sometimes this might mess up our reading order, but that's okay. Look at all these section tags in here. I'm just cutting and pasting, and I think that's about all of them. Let's go ahead and delete all of those section tags out, which we did. Perfect. Now we can kind of get in here, and let's take a peek at what's happening. First thing I notice is there's a figure tag inside of an H1 tag. I don't like that, so I'm going to take it out and move it to the topmost tag, and it actually moved it all the way to the bottom. Let me move that back up. So the very first thing that's going to be read in this document is that figure tag. Let's make sure we have alternate text on it. I'm going to right click the figure tag, select properties, and we've got SCCCD logo. Perfect. We then have our H1 tag. We have our H2 tag, which calls out these different colleges. I actually don't think that's a relevant H2 tag, so I'm going to change it from an H2 to a P tag. We really want to reserve our headings for the content that, should be a heading. We've got a P tag. We've got a list element with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list items, 6. All right. And then this list item has a nested list, and it's not quite nested appropriately. When you have a nested list item, you want it to be inside of the L body tag that it represents. So not inside of the other L tag, but inside of the L body specifically. So let's go ahead and expand this out. We have 1, 2, 3 list items, but there should be 4. So I'm going to right click in here, select new tag, and let's add a list item. And we're going to split this one apart. So we have this label in here. That's fine. What do I want to do? Let's create a couple placeholders. So inside of this LI that I just created, I'm going to right click, select new tag, and we're going to type the text L body with a capital LB. And then we're going to do a capital L, lowercase b, lowercase l for label. And we're just going to move both of those tags. We're going to nest them inside of that list item tag. Now from here, I'm going to highlight that bullet for Reedley College with my LBL tag selected. And from the accessibility tags panel, I'm going to select the options button and select create tag from selection. And that is going to put that label where it goes. But it actually grabbed this phone number from the text above. So I'm going to cut that out and go back up and paste it. But we've actually got some funny business here. All right, let's go actually to our first list item and let's expand our first label, and that label is correct. So that's good. Now let's work on the L body. I'm going to select that tag and I'm going to select all of this text here with my L body tag selected, and we're going to create tag from selection. This is going to separate the content out. And now I have this other object, the Reedley College object, that I can move to the L body tag. So this is certainly like a little tricky. But now we have a properly formatted list item. And we have a second properly formatted list item. Oh, and that automatically fixed the third. And now the fourth is fixed too. And there we go. We now have a properly formatted list item. All right, we have another figure up here. Since this is the second one in the document, I'm going to artifact this figure tag by right-clicking the content panel, by right-clicking the container and changing tag to artifacts. We have H2. We have an H2 tag, an H3 tag, a properly formatted list element. We have an H4 tag, a properly formatted list element. We have a P tag, and then this is where we have some issues. So I'm actually going to use the reading order tool. To do that, I can open up the Prepare for Accessibility button and then select reading order. This is going to allow me to select all of that content and mark it as a text paragraph. And then we can take this other employee information. I'm going to select all of it, select text paragraph. And then let's do the same for this content. And what this is going to do, I hope, is separate all of that text because it was blending some of the lines from one contact to another. All right, now I just need to get down to that section. Here we go. So we've got P tag, P tag. This one is a double P tag. I'm going to cut and paste because we don't want our P tags to be nested inside of each other. That's going to throw us an error in the pack tool. Again, we have this figure tag. Let's go ahead and right click it and select change tag to artifact. Delete the figure tag. We've got H2. I'm also going to delete this college information again, Fresno, Reedley, Madera, Oakhurst, Clovis, because we already have that at the top of page 1, and it might cause a distraction for the student. All right. And now we've got a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. Oh, wow. So we've got all of this content inside of a single P tag. This is definitely not how we're going to make this document accessible. So sometimes for me and my brain personally, I need to add placeholders. So I'm going to look at these objects. I've got 1 for student information. I've got name, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 objects here. So I'm going to create 13 P tags as placeholders. I know it seems excessive, but this makes sense for my brain. And if I start using the reading order tool in here, it might cause some problems. So this is what I like to do. This is just my own personal method. So I've got 1 P tag, 2, and all I'm doing is right clicking, selecting new tag, and hitting enter on my keyboard. And I'm not counting. I already lost count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think it was 13. Now what I can do is expand that, expand this menu item that I had with this content in here, and I could start to move stuff out of there. All right. So I'm already having a problem. We have step 1, student information and name. It's in the same content panel. So we need to do this a little bit different. I could use the reading order tool, but over the years, I've just started doing this create tag from selection option because it just is more reliable. So you select where you want to place it in the tags panel, and then I highlight the text and then select the options button, create tag from selection. And now we have this step 1 student information. I'm actually going to change that to a heading level 3 because it's bold, it's important. Now, this is where I want my name field to go, and it looks like I have my form fields properly already in here. Excuse me. There's just one problem. There's not a form field here. So I need to right click the name container, select new tag, and manually insert this form fields. And check it out. We now have a properly formatted P tag. Let's do the next one. We've got birth date and student birth date. We're just going to drag it in. We need to create that placeholder for the form fields. And I'm going to just do the rest of these. We've got college ID and this form field. So this one randomly has a form field already inside of it. So that's perfect. Let's keep going. This next one, we want address. So let's see if we can find address. All right, we found address, but you know what I don't see is the text over here. So I'm going to go ahead and move the form field. I'm going to select this P tag, and then I'm going to highlight the word address and then do the create tag from selection. So it's moving it from wherever it was in the tags panel to this location. Then we need to put student address in a form field. And look at us, we're just flying through this. Next one is city. So city, state, zip, phone, this is all in one container. We're gonna need to separate it. So I have to do the same thing that I did before, select the tag, and then we're going to highlight the text using my mouse, and then create tag from selection. And the text is kind of funny in there, the spacing on it. That might be a problem, or it might not. What we could do is right click, select properties, and update the actual text by putting city : just to make sure that it's read properly. This then needs a form field, every object reference needs a form parent tag. All right, next up is state, create tag from selection. And then we need to right click, create a form field parent placeholder. So we can drag our object reference. And then we have zip, same idea, from selection. Right click, new tag, select form, find zip form field if it's in here. Oh, it looks like it's actually nested down somewhere else, and it already had a form field. Perfect. So we can delete the other one. Next up is phone. Both of those objects are good. We need to right click, create a form field placeholder for our child object reference tag. What else we got? Email and high school are combined. Okay, so we need to select that P tag, highlight the word email, and create tag from selection. And then we need to find that email form object reference. And it also appears to be nested down here. That's okay. We'll drag it up to the correct location. And look at us flying through this. Next up is high school, which I can see both of the objects here. We're going to click and drag them under the correct location. Right click, new tag, select form, nest the object reference. Next we got grade level. Select both objects, click and drag them. Right click, new tag form. What else we got? School year. This one again is blended with this other text. So we're going to select the P tag, select our text, create tag from selection, and then we are going to try to find that form field. Earlier when I moved those other form fields, I now have these blank P tags that I'm just going to delete using my keyboard. This form field was nested down there. Perfect. All right. So we did that whole section. Those are now accessible. And then we'll check the tooltips on them when we're finished here. But now we're getting into some different content. So we have this approval form for the following. I'm going to move this up into a different P tag. And then let's cut a couple of these around. Blank P tags, more blank P tags. All right. Oh, the word term is connected on it. So we still got to do this create tag from selection. This is pretty time consuming, but again, after doing this for so many years, I tend to go with what I absolutely know is going to work. There may be a faster way to do it, but this kind of guarantees it. All right, right now I'm looking for this other form field. There it is. It was nested under that H3 tag. All right, now we've got this H3 tag. And that was quite the doozy there, but we got through it. So we finished that whole section up here and made it more accessible. All right, now we have a couple of tables. It has 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows. And it looks like we have form fields in here. So I'm not mad at this. This actually looks, just from like a bird's eye view, it does look accessible. So I'm going to leave it as is, and we're going to move on to the next one. And we'll see what happens when we run the accessibility checker. There might be something we need to fix on it. Again, this one looks pretty good, though there's randomly this whole row here that doesn't have anything. So I'm actually going to delete that entire row out. So there was an extra row in that table, I assume from this blank content. All right, let's keep going. We've got a P tag, H4, list, and then we have a whole bunch of P tags. So they actually did this one right. We have these nested P tags, but they're just like nested incorrectly. So I'm actually going to go through and pull these out. So high school principal signature and this form field, that is correct. We're going to cut both of those, paste them under our list tag, and let's keep going. So every document, you work with is different. And these are just skills that I've personally picked up over the years that you kind of got to look at all the content. As much as you want to go fast, sometimes you can't, because that's when mistakes start to happen, and then you end up creating more work for yourself than you meant to. So let's go back to the top. We're just validating high school principal signature form. Perfect. Print name, principal print name, form object, high school counselor, form object, print name, high school counselor, printer name, form object. We've got date, date object reference, contact, form object reference. This one looks funny. Contact. Okay. I had one extra p tag here. Let's condense that down. Delete the extra p tag because you want the text from the PDF and the form field in the same p tag, at least in most instances. So this is pretty easy. I'm just cutting and pasting using my keyboard. Print name looks good. College vice president. Print name looks good. It even looks like they updated these tooltips. So that's great. Under the print name, so we have 4 of these print name objects. If I hover my mouse, I can see that they updated the tooltip. Principal print name, high school counselor printer name. Well, they're not a printer, but college counselor print name and VP print name. So that's pretty good. Let's keep going. H4, we've got a P tag and a form tag, and then a lonely object container that we need to address. We're going to create a new tag for it, a P tag specifically, and move it in there. Make sure it's in the right location. All right, we've got these 4 span tags. These are actually perfect, but I don't like span tags. We're going to right click, change them to P tags instead, and then we're going to move them out of their nested P tag so that they are all individual objects on the page. H4, I'm actually going to make HSE and H5 here because it seems to be that it's a part of these other checkboxes. And then same with A and R. I'm going to make it in H5. And then this one's, it looks a little broken. So let's see what we got going on here. All right, we've got text, which is good. And then various form fields. We're going to have to do this one at a time. So I'm going to create some blank P tags because sometimes just getting in here and making some blank placeholders, it really, honestly, is just the fastest method. Because when you're doing this a lot, at least for me, my brain starts to get a little mushy sometimes. So we've got registered. Now we need to find the registered form field. Looks like it's nested under here. It is. That's okay. We're going to drag it to its correct home. Right click, new tag. Add a form parent tag. And that one is done. We can move on to the next one, STMC. We're going to move that to the right location so that our reading order is valid. And then we need to find the object reference, move it up, right click, new tag, select form. All right, we're making progress. Now we've got this Spro HS program. We can drag that up. Need to find the form, right click, new tag, form, drag it in. All right, what do we got next? ASTR. So this one's actually almost properly formatted. We've got the form field, ASTR. I'm just going to move it out of this P tag so that it's following the others. All right, we then have date entered, followed by our form field of date entered. And then we have this other form field that I'm moving to the other P tag. And just like that, we fixed that whole section. So now these are all properly formatted and the reading order is correct. H3 student agreement. I think this should be an H2, right? Nope. Should be an H3. Paragraph, list item, paragraph. Then we've got a couple of sections that need some help. So it's the same idea where they almost got this. Whoever created this. I'm going to create some blank P tags to separate that content from that form area. Again, this just makes sense to my personal brain because sometimes when the stuff gets all nested like that, it can be really hard to like grab the right stuff. So by doing it this way, I ensure that I'm only taking one element at a time. And it also allows me to have full control over the reading order. And in several of these cases, there's multiple form fields inside of these objects. And sometimes that just makes things confusing. And then it makes it to where usually the last one is already done. So we've got form. We just need to find the date. There it is. We'll drag it up into its p tag. Delete the extra p tags. And here we go. H3, p tag, list item. Oh, we've got more form fields to fix. All right, we got parent guardian. And that one's right. So we need to take this form field out. That one's right. H4, we're going to change that to a p tag. And then we're going to move that p tag in there. Print name is good. Now we have this orphan form tag that we're going to move into the right p tag. And then the revised. Boom shakalaka. All right. That's sort of the first phase, is getting the tag structure in there. Now we can worry about what all the accessibility checkers, are going to bother us about. So let's see what we can find. Let's go ahead and launch the accessibility checker built into Adobe Acrobat. And we've got an error, hides annotation failed. Let's go into the tags panel and see if we can find it. So something's funky in here. Let's right click the form, select properties. Nothing there. I wonder if it's because I put actual text. Let's go ahead and remove the actual text. Perhaps that was... Oh, I think it is, because I need to put the actual text on the p tag, not on the container. City. All right, watch it go away now. Go back to the accessibility checker, right click, say check again. Nope. Let's go back to the tags panel. I guess I'll just delete it for now, because that might not even be the error. Save the file, accessibility check, right click, check again. Odd. Okay, so it did not like that actual text on the form field. But we have a passing accessibility checker just from doing that. So whenever I hear people tell me they just want the document to pass the accessibility checker, I'm like, perfect. You just have to apply all of the best practices for accessibility and you will get a passing accessibility checker. That's all you got to do. But let's take this a step further. I'm going to open up the Pack 2021 tool. And let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. Let's drag this file in and see what happens. All right, we got a few issues. We need to embed our fonts. Let's open up the results in detail. We've got a font error. That's fine. We can fix that one. What is this logical structure? Nesting of widget annotations thing. All right, we'll check that out. Oh, our tables don't have headers. All right, we got some work to do. Let's just tackle one at a time. So font not embedded. I need to open up my print production tool, select pre-flight. We're going to select our wrench icon and type the word font. And there's an option in here called embed missing fonts. Select fix, save the file, and let's test the document. All right, we got rid of fonts. Let's check out structure elements, annotations, nesting of widget annotation on page 4. Widget annotation not nested inside of a form structure element. All right, let's see if we can find it. Was it the last page? I think it was print name. Oh, there it is. I forgot to put in a parent form tag. There we go. All right, what do we got next in the pack checker? We've got tables. Table header cell has no associated subcells. All right, let's see if we can fix this table, both tables. So for tables, we're going to use the reading order tool. So I'm going to open up Prepare for Accessibility, select the reading order tool, and then I'm going to change some of my options here so I can actually grab the tables. I'm going to select show page content groups. We can say structure types. We want to show tables and figures. And then I'm going to right click this table and select table editor. And what we can see here is we have different cells that have corresponding cells beneath them. And we need to set a couple of options in here. So the first thing I actually want to do is it looks like course title is not set as a heading. So let me kind of back out of that and find this first table. And we want to ensure that that TD is actually a TH cell. And sometimes when you have the reading order tool and you start adjusting stuff, it can cause some problems. All right. So let's open up the reading order tool again. Right click, select table editor, and we're going to select all of these cells at the top. And I'm going to right click, select table cell properties, and we're going to set the scope to column and then select OK. And then I'm going to choose the cells on the left, right click, table cell properties, and we're going to change the scope to row. And I think that's going to fix the error. Let's try it on the other table. Right click, table editor. Same idea, we're selecting these cells, right click, table cell properties, set the scope to column, select OK, and let's save the file. There might still be some stuff we need to do, but we're going to retest it. All right, that fixed it. So by setting the scope, what we told Adobe Acrobat to do is it says, hey, all of the cells underneath this header column are my data cells. That's what we told it. Let's keep going. Structure tree. We're going to select results in detail. And what is happening with this structure tree? Possible inappropriate use of a figure element. All right, that is on page 1. So let's, this is probably the placement attribute. We're going to right click the figure tag, select properties, and select edit tag. And I'm going to open it up. Now, this is kind of complex, so just bear with me. Tag element, and we want to check the very first dictionary area, and the attribute we're looking for is placement. So right now, it's selected as placement start. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to change it. We're going to change it to inline. That might still be a failure, but let's just do it first and see. We're going to select OK, close the boxes, save, and we're going to test it again. All right, still got that error, so we might need to change it to block instead. Right-click the figure tag, select properties, edit tag, open up the tag element, open up the first dictionary item. I'm changing the placement again from inline to block, and let's see if that fixes it. Pack checker, there we go. Metadata, I think we're missing our PDF UA identifier. Yep, easy peasy. So we're going to go back to the pre-flight menu. Let's close that reading order tool. Or print production, pre-flight. And we need to type in UA and set PDF UA 1 entry, select fix. Save the file. And then finally, let's test it. And voila. We now have a properly formatted document that meets PDF UA standards. If you made it all the way to the end of that video, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you'd like to figure out how I can help you get accessible, check out the links in the description of this video. And as always, I can be your personal accessibility expert. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.